it's Betsy from Cuttin Corners Vinyl in Nederland, Texas, and today we have a fun video. We're gonna go over the top 10 supplies slash tools that I think you need when working with heat transfer vinyl or adhesive. Now, a lot of these products and tools that I'm gonna talk about you can use for both. Some are only used for one, but I do think that they are important to have in your arsenal, especially if you're getting started. Now, before we jump into the video, I did want to let you know that the weekly WOW sale for this week is 30% off all the deco film embossed. So that sale ends on July 11th at 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you haven't seen the embossed, they're pretty cool. It has like this texture to it. Really, really neat. Something to kind of give your HTV projects something different. So, let's go over our tools slash supplies because not everything is a supply. So the first thing we're going to talk about, this is denatured alcohol. This is just in this bottle. You can use regular isopropyl alcohol. Denatured is a little bit stronger and a little bit more drying and a little bit more corrosive, I guess is the best way to say it. You can buy this in the paint section at Lowe's or Home Depot. This is just in a separate little bottle because it comes in like one of those metal pour can thingies, like what you'd get like mineral spirits in. But this is great for cleaning any surface that you're gonna apply adhesive vinyl to, whether it be windows, painted wood, that type of thing. You need to be careful on certain painted surfaces, so I would do test in an inconspicuous spot, but this will clean off all the dirt and grime that you need so that way your vinyl will adhere properly. Anything with alcohol in it will, but I wouldn't use like soapy water because if you don't get away all the residue, it will mess with the adherence. I wouldn't use just like glass cleaner or anything like that because those can leave a residue. Alcohol will be your best friend when it comes to cleaning anything. And what's also you can use your alcohol for is like if you're doing dazzle cloth for HTV. So when I say dazzle cloth, you know like what an NFL football jersey or any football jersey is made out of, where it's that super shiny polyester material. If you're applying HTV to that, spritzing it down with alcohol and then letting it dry, again, will help with adherence. Again, test in an inconspicuous area, but denatured alcohol will be your best friend. And again, you can use regular isopropyl alcohol, and that's just like your alcohol that you'd use to treat a cut, works just fine, but I do recommend using denatured. I like it, and I don't water it down. I get asked that quite a bit. No, you do not water it down. Next up would be vinyl application fluid. So this is something we sell on our website. This is a spray, and you spray the back of your adhesive vinyl, or you can spray what you're applying your vinyl down on. And this helps to make your vinyl a little bit more movable. So you'll spray it, put your vinyl into place, and then squeegee everything out. But this kind of gives you a little bit more move, and it helps with bubbles. So like if you're applying something to glass and you can't get back there to actually line it up perfectly, this gives you some movement to make sure you get it where you want to before it sticks down permanently. And it dries on its own. You just kind of let it sit there. You can use a hairdryer just to kind of dry out the liquid underneath. I typically spray, squeegee, and then let it sit for a little while and then pull my transfer tape off. But this is another one of those products that's great, especially when you're doing layers. It takes longer, but when you're doing layers and trying to make sure things end up perfect, that works really, really well. Okay. Next up is Teflon Sheet. Now we sell these on our website, but you can buy them all over the place. This is what I use in between everything and heat. Teflon is great. It's non-stick. It does exactly what it's supposed to, and you will pretty much only ever need one. I mean, unless you mess it up, which typically if you're gonna mess it up, it's because you've stuck vinyl to it or something like that. But even then you can typically clean it. I keep it rolled and they last forever. I literally have the same Teflon sheets that I have had. This one's newer just because I have it, but I have Teflon sheets from 15 years ago. I mean, they last that long. but I do recommend it. You just use that between the heat platen and whether you're doing a shirt, whatever, it just protects both and it makes cleanup and things like that much easier. Just a tip and trick. Next up would be a Teflon pillow. Now these are great for any type of small objects like baby onesies, anything like that, and you're like, well, that's a little big. You can fold them in half. Again, we sell these on our website. There's other places that sell them, but that's up to you. These are great, so you can use them for whatever size baby onesie. If you're doing a pocket, because anytime that there's seams on a clothing item, it can mess with adherence, because those seams make it where it doesn't get flat contact. This makes it where it gets flat contact. So if you're doing a polo shirt, if it's a V-neck, or anything that's sewn differently, these work great. And again, it's one of those things, one and done. You have it, then you're good for pretty much forever. Next up would be the Easyweed wooden pick. Now this is a tool I sell. This is my favorite pick whatsoever, and I'll explain to you why. There's a few things. So I'm not a big fan of the ones from Cricut. This is my favorite because, as you can see, it's like holding a pencil. I weed like I'm holding a pencil. I'm a lefty, just in case you're wondering. So as you can see, that fits in my hand just perfectly to weed. This has a nice sharp point on it, so you can get in and puncture your vinyl to give yourself a way to lift it. And then on this end, it has like this flat edge, so if you need to like press vinyl back down, that works really, really well. And they're inexpensive, so if you lose it, drop it, break it, because if you're not careful, if you do the wrong thing, you can break these off. They're just a needle tip. I mean, it's thicker than that, but you know what I'm saying. So this is a definite must. That is my favorite thing in the entire world. Like, to me, that and the next product are the two things that I would not live without for vinyl at all. And that is the T-Shirt Guy. So we make these in-house. I've seen people making ones that are similar. We've had it around for a long time. You can buy whatever you want to. We have been copied on this, just to kind of let you know. But this is amazing for lining up your t-shirts. You buy the size for your heat press. So as you can see, this is a 16-inch. My heat press that I use every time is a 16-inch by 20-inch press. So you line it up with the top squares, the square edges of your heat press, and it helps you line it up perfectly every single time. And we have videos on how to use it for left chest, right chest, and everything in between. Now these are made out of plastic, so before you press your heat press down, remove from plastic, remove from the platen. And another thing I will also tell you, because people have done this, they'll leave their heat press on and they'll put this on there to line up their vinyl, and then they'll get a phone call and leave it, and then it wants to warp because it's plastic, so if it gets hot, but this is great. And we have lots of sizes because there are lots of heat presses. To me, that's the easiest way, because shirts are never sewn straight. So sometimes, like, they may look straight on your body, and then there's sometimes, you get a shirt and it looks crooked or seaming maybe just a hair off. So if you line it up pretty much the same way every time, you're going to get like more accurate results. Because you want, even if your shirt's sewn off, it's better for your vinyl to look straight when it's on the body than when it's, you see what I'm saying, than when the shirt's off the body. Hopefully that helps. Another thing I definitely recommend is some tiny pointed tweezers. These are from, I think these came from Harbor Freight. So you can see they have the tiny little needle point kind of on them. But these are great for if you've accidentally lifted a letter, you can put it back down in place. They're also great for weeding vinyl if you can't find your pick. These are just a good all-around tool to have. And with them having more of that point, if for some reason you do get like a little piece of vinyl that sticks somewhere wrong on a shirt, a lot of times you can use these to grab that little tiny piece of vinyl off. These are amazing. And they're nice and sharp too. So just in case you're wondering, good set of pointed nose tweezers. These came from Harbor Freight. These are great. Use it all the time. Next up would be This is a breakaway blade. You can use an X-Acto knife, anything like that. So or a razor blade cutter. They're all the same kind of thing. So it's a very sharp blade. You can break it off. You can use this to cut slightly to be able to make things, to give yourself weed lines if you're using tiny text. You can use this to trim your vinyl down and make it more exact for when you're running it through the machine, and so that way you don't have waste. You can use it to cut strings off. There's so many uses for this, but it's just a good handy tool to have. And I like to have these because a lot of times I don't always want to grab scissors to do the same thing, because scissors, especially if you're vinyl, you need to give yourself some space in between. This you have a little bit more accuracy with, because when you're cutting with scissors, you may not be able to see and might end up cutting half a letter off. These are great to have. Next up is this, and this is filthy. This is a non-scoring mat. So I use this all the time. I typically cut on this side, and yes, you can take and clean the paint off of it. It's not that big of a deal. But you just use it to cut your vinyl. Like if you're using your X-Acto blade or whatever and you're trimming down vinyl, you can just cut into it. And it doesn't, and since this is like, I think it's called non-scoring, but so when you cut, it doesn't like leave a scar in it, so you can redo it. Because a lot of times if you have something that you're cutting on and it does leave marks, and this will too over time, like this won't stay non-scoring, but for the most part it does for quite a while, so this is something you do have to replace. You can get these in the sewing section, you can get these in the arts and crafts section, but you can use it, cut whatever you need to cut, and then you don't get that textured line, because sometimes when you go to use a blade like this and you're cutting on something that does leave marks and you go to cut, well, that mark will stay there. So if you need to cut a little bit over and you get off a little bit, it almost drags it into that mark, if that makes sense to you. So this gives you an even surface that you can use over and over and over again. Makes it worth it. Now, last but certainly not least is a felt edge squeegee. So, felt edge squeegee. So you've got your regular, just polymer plastic edge over here. This is great for squeegeeing down vinyl onto your mat. This is great for squeegeeing down transfer tape. This is great for pretty much everything. The purpose for the felt edge, because a lot of people don't know this, is so if you have an air bubble, okay, in your vinyl. So one of the things you can do if you have an air bubble, you can take your pick, pop the bubble, and then you can take the felt edge squeegee and push the air out. Nice, wonderful, easy to do. And this will keep from scratching your vinyl. So a lot of times, like when you're working with like Oracal 651, Caesar, there's a bunch of them. If you use this edge and it's got any roughness to it, you can scratch your vinyl and then your vinyl doesn't look as good. So the felt edge definitely keeps you from doing that, and it just looks better all around. But yeah, those are the 10 tools I definitely recommend. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button right down below. And if you hit the notification bell icon next to it, that will notify you when I post new videos, which is typically every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we always do a Shop Talk live Q&A. But I guess that's it, so we shall see y'all later. Bye.